Welcome to another webisode edition of Syracuse Unpeeled. Us debut with some of the best original box score numbers since Avatar. Here to go over the highs and lows of Jordan Peele's newest horror film is Syracuse Unpeeled's own Patrick Gunn and Liam Crowley. Guys, what were those numbers and what do you think how they reached such great heights?
Well, it opened at $71.7 million. Yeah, that's a lot of cheese in an opening weekend.
Yeah.
And this is a really big deal because it's an original horror R-rated film. Usually those films don't make the kind of money you see there. It beat out Captain Marvel, which had been on a tear.
Wow.
It's the second largest opening for an original film, live action film since Avatar. Think about that comparison. And it's just huge because original films, they just don't do very well at the box office nowadays. And it just really tells me that Jordan Peele's going to be making whatever he wants for a while.
Yeah, it's very rare we see these original films open up to such tremendous box office, especially that now we're getting close to the summer movie season. It's rare for a horror movie to crush this big. We saw it do tremendous at the box office, but that was in September, closer to Halloween, so glad to see us having a little diversity depending on where it comes out, still crushing at the box office.
All right, so this movie was huge. Everyone's got a lot of opinions. Some pros and cons. Pat, let's start with you.
Well, my first pro of the movie is just the one that's obvious. Lupita Nyong'o. She is fantastic in the lead role. Her performances, both Adelaide, who's the real-life person, and Red, the person who's playing her doppelganger, is just phenomenal. She gives so much anxiety in the film, and you really feel her terror, but also as Red, just like the horror and just how weird her performance is. It's such a gripping role, and she knocks out of the park, and I have some more opinions on that. And also, just melds horror and comedy well, and it's a film that leaves you hanging. You thinking about the film after it comes out, after you leave the theater in a good way, you're thinking about everything, all the little things that go on, Jeremiah 11:11, the rabbits, it really leaves you thinking.
Absolutely. Sticking with the performances, I really loved Winston Duke in this movie. I thought he was phenomenal. I think he's on the verge of becoming an A-lister, especially with this performance and then his past performance in Black Panther. I believe we're also going to see him in Endgame next month. Also, Jordan Peele's ability to keep the plot, keep the viewer engaged throughout. The mystery had me engaged 100% of the time, and that's kind of a rarity. Usually movies have a bit of a lull period, but Jordan Peele, a master of cinematography, a master of plot, I would say, even this early into his career in filmmaking, I think he kept me engaged the whole time, and that's what I really loved about this movie.
Those are your positive. What about some cons for the movie? Some things maybe you didn't like. And I know it was such a huge film. It got a lot of positive reviews, but there's always something you can really look back on that maybe you don't love.
Yeah, my biggest con was I felt some of the twists felt undeserved. I know a lot of times the best parts about movies is when stuff goes unexplained, but some of the stuff I was trying to wrap my head around it and I was like, wait, that doesn't really make all that much sense. I was trying to build connections, but nonetheless, I thought some of the plot points, some of the twists we got in this movie, there were a few, they didn't feel like they were as deserved as other plot points in this movie.
Yeah, I see your point there, but like if you look at almost every horror movie, there's going to be something that doesn't really make sense when you think about it. Personally, I can't really think of that many cons with this one. There are maybe a few scenes where the editing was a little choppy, and sometimes the child actors were just a little bit off, but honestly, they were pretty solid. I really enjoyed the movie. I don't think there's much wrong with it for me.
I kind of agree with you, Liam. A little bit too ambiguous for my taste, but now let's get to some hot takes. Of course, it wouldn't be a show without him. Pat Gunn, you got one brewing about the director. I'd love to hear it.
Director's pretty good. Actually, it's not about the director. It's about Lupita Nyong'o. I think she should be nominated for an Oscar for this performance. Last year, we had a great performance in horror. Toni Collette in Hereditary that was snubbed. This year, I really think that this performance is Lupita. She is so great in both roles, both as Adelaide and Red. She's really gripping. She's already won an Oscar, so she already has that growth. And also, Get Out, which was nominated in February, which came out in February, got multiple nominations and a win for Best Original Screenplay, so I think it's not out of the realm of possibility.
My hot take is a big one. Jordan Peele is the next Quentin Tarantino. Yes, I said it.
Wow.
It's very rare that we have directors in modern cinema where their name attached to the film alone makes a viewer want to see it. Movies nowadays are based on the property. We have the Marvel movies, the DC movies sell based on their characters and all that. Movie stars are kind of rare. We have The Rock and Tom Cruise as kind of the last ones. Directors, we rarely see a director sell the movie alone. Tarantino, Christopher Nolan are two that I can think of. And I believe Jordan Peele, only 2 films into his filmography in terms of directing, no matter what he attaches to, he's got the Midas touch. I am sold on Jordan Peele, the next big director in Hollywood.
According to Liam Crowley, you got to book that one. That'll do it for this Unpeeled episode. If you agree or disagree with those very hot takes, let us know. Tweet us at CitrusTVE and use the hashtag Syracuse Unpeeled. And while you're at it, make sure to follow us, CitrusTVE, on Twitter and Instagram. Keep you up to date with everything Unpeeled. For Patrick Gunn and Liam Crowley, I'm Chris Sacchi. We'll catch you next time on Peelers.